Hello, beautiful people, to my one viewer who is myself. How is everybody that it may be listening doing today? All right, listen to me. I hope you are having a wonderful day. And I hope you came here to figure out what the standings are going to be in the NFC North for the 2023 NFL season. Look, I know you see the hat, you see the shirt. I think I am generally an unbiased fan. When it comes to the Detroit Lions, I am a very unbiased fan. But did I unmute myself? I did unmute myself. So look, I'm the greatest, okay? But I like to be. Hi Jack. Hi Owen. I think I'm pretty realistic when it comes to the Lions, and this is the most hype that they have gotten in my entire career of watching football. So, it's a bit unnerving because, for those of you that aren't Lions fans, which is pretty much everybody, if you expect the Lions to do good and to bring you hope, to make you happy, they won't. They don't do that. They're not very good at that. I've been a Lions fan for almost 10 years now. Giants going 20-0. Well, here's the thing, though. Is like they'd have to play the Lions eventually. Me saying that I'm not biased about the Lions and then expecting the Lions to do well, that's exactly what's going to happen here. There's a bad realization. But I'm going to hold on. I'm going to look up how far away we are from the start of the NFL season. And do keep in mind, I don't know if you saw the Instagram stories, but my internet went out 5 minutes before I started this. So we will see how this plays out. But if it goes down and it keeps going down, I'll probably continue this on Sunday morning, because I have a very busy Sunday as we get closer to the school year. But how many days are we from the start of the NFL? The Detroit Lions also kicking off the NFL season in 44 days against the Kansas City Chiefs. We're probably going to get our asses handed to us, but nonetheless, it'll be a fun experience overall. I'll just be happy that football is back by that point. And, today we're going to predict what will happen in that game. So, without further ado, let's just get straight into the NFC North, starting off with the Chicago Bears. Now, the Chicago Bears had the worst record in the league last season. I'm sure we all know this. I don't think they were the worst team necessarily, but they won the least amount of games. So, worst record, most losses, whatever you want to call it. They had the number 1 overall draft pick, traded it to the Panthers, of course. And we're going to see. I have one Lions jersey. Okay, I have 2 Lions jerseys. One is a Matthew Stafford jersey that I framed because he went to the Rams, and I was happy and sad at the same time because he did eventually get a Super Bowl. And I have a really old Calvin Johnson jersey that is fake. It's not a real jersey. It's more of a T-shirt, but I do have that. So I need to get another one. But here's the thing. I might be getting a car tomorrow, a new car. So I don't know if I'm going to be affording a car or a Lions jersey anytime soon. But starting off week 1 against the Chicago Bears against the Green Bay Packers. Look, we all know the history here. We say it's Aaron Rodgers that owns the Bears, and it's true. But Brett Huntley was also 2-0 against the Bears when he played. I just think, I think the Bears are a much improved team, both offensively and defensively. I mean, that's easy to say when you were the worst team in the NFL last season, or at least in the NFC. But due to the history of this game, I'm going to give this one to the Green Bay Packers. There are a lot of questions with Jordan Love that we'll get into very shortly. But I really, I don't. 0-1 for the Chicago Bears. But week 2, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I've said this before and I'll say this again. I think they are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL next season. So I'll give the Bears the W there in Tampa Bay. This is an away game. Nonetheless, we all saw that clip of Baker Mayfield throwing in practice preseason. I think it's him or Kyle Trask. So the Buccaneers are screwed. They're screwed. I don't know. It's not going to be pretty. Anyways, Bears are going to beat them. Bears, there is no shot the Bears are beating the Chiefs. Not happening. 1-2 start for the Bears. I feel like this is expected by a lot of people. A lot of people do have the Bears winning week 1. Wouldn't surprise me because I do think the Bears on paper might be a better team. There's just a lot of questions around Jordan Love, how good he's going to be. Week 4, home game against the Denver Broncos. I think the Denver Broncos are going to be a much improved team from what they were last season. They get Javonte Williams back, plenty of additions on that offensive line. The defense is already good, and now you have Sean Payton as the head coach. Look, Russell Wilson has had one bad year, and it was the only year he had a bad head coach. So I think Sean Payton can turn things around there. Either way, Bears are going to lose at home against Denver, I think. 1-3 start for the Chicago Bears. Moving on to week 5. I did this wrong. I believe this is a home game for the Bears, if I'm not mistaken. I have it here as an away game. Let me just double check that before I confirm the prediction here. Let's see. The Chicago Bears. Okay, they play in Washington. So I have this listed as a win for the Bears, but if you watched the last podcast, you know I have the Commanders winning this game, so we're going to have to deduct one off. Oh, that's so embarrassing. Oops. Deduct one off for the Bears. Yeah. Yeah, so I have them losing at the Commanders, not winning. Oops, my bad. Either way, moving on to week 6. Now, this could be a very close game, I think. The Bears, they didn't do well against the Vikings last season. The Vikings last season won most of their games within one score, even against bad teams, but the Bears were one of the only teams that the Vikings could beat by more than one score, home and away. Or I think only away, really, but despite that, I think the Vikings, their offense outweighs the Bears' offense significantly. I think that's fair to say. And I think the Bears' defense is better than the Vikings' defense, but I don't think it's by as much of a significant margin. So we'll give that game to the Chicago Bears. So remember, we're subtracting a win out of that total. So that's going to be a 1-5 start for the Chicago Bears. Moving on to week 7, a home game against the Las Vegas Raiders. This is when I think the Bears turn things around. They win that game, second win of the season. Moving on to week 8. This is an away game. Yes, an away game at the Los Angeles Chargers. I have the Chargers winning that one. Not really concerned with getting that one wrong. I think that's pretty spot on. I think the Chargers will win this game pretty handedly. Moving on to week 9, this is another away game for the Bears. I think the Saints, the roster overall is pretty good. The coaching situation there is not great, and the players are extremely injury prone. We don't know how good Derek Carr is going to be there. Either way, 3-6 in New Orleans. I'll give it to the Saints. 2-7. My bad. Yeah, 2-7 for the Chicago Bears. Oop, I just revealed all of those. Well, you might as well just cut to the chase here. Yeah, so we got week 10 at the Carolina Panthers. This is going to be a close game, I think. But I gave it to the Panthers. I think they're going to have the momentum on their side. I think they'll be overall the better team in 2023, defensively and offensively. I like the coaching more on the Panthers with Frank Reich. So yeah, I think the Panthers win that game. Wouldn't be surprised though if the Bears put up a great fight. Week 11 in Detroit, I think the Lions win that one. Lions destroyed the Bears at home last season, but again, that was towards the end of the season. The Bears were kind of tanking for that first overall pick, which they did get. So, either way, the Lions, I think, are going to handle that. Unbiased, remember. Unbiased. I'm not a Lions fan. But, yeah. Give me the Lions there. Week 12 in Minnesota. Give me the Vikings there. So that's 2 wins for the Chicago Bears thus far. Headed into a very late bye week. I'm sure the team and the fans would have loved a bye week earlier in the season, but it is what it is. Week 14, home game against the Lions. Like, the Bears nearly scraped out a win against the Lions at home last season. This is how you know I'm unbiased, because I'm giving the win to the Bears, one of their only divisional wins. Yeah, they narrowly scraped out a win against the Lions last season. I think the Bears are much improved, and this is around the time where the Lions are gonna slip up against an easy team. I know this because I am a Lions fan, so they usually do this. Bears coming off of a bye too. Give me the win at home against Detroit. Don't think that's too hot of a take. At the Browns, got the Bears losing. Browns, I think, are better on both sides of the ball, and it's in Cleveland. Arizona Cardinals are easily worse on both sides of the ball, despite having Kyler Murray back by this point in the season. That's a win for the Bears, especially in Chicago, 5-10. Now, I know I got some Falcons fans in the audience, maybe. They're watching this eventually. Week 17 in Chicago, I'm actually giving this game to the Bears. The Bears nearly beat the Falcons last season in Atlanta, but I'm keeping the Bears beating the Falcons. Look, Falcons fans, I've been very good to you, okay? I've given the Falcons plenty of games, close games. This one I'm giving to the Bears, so that's not their 6th win. That's going to be their 5th win, in case you missed it. This is a mistake with the Commanders game. That's supposed to be a loss, but either way. So I think the Falcons will win, or the Bears will win against the Falcons in Week 17, and they'll close out the season with a loss in Week 18. So I know this says 6-11 against the Green Bay Packers. Sorry, Packers will sweep the Bears. That should be a 5-12. Still an improvement from what they did last season. I think it is still a little bit underwhelming, but hey, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears are one of those sleeper teams. Like I said, the NFC is the worst conference this season by far, and I think the 7th seed could really go to anybody. And I don't think you need a winning record to necessarily get into the playoffs in the NFC this season. In the AFC, you're going to need like 12 wins, but in the NFC, I think you might be able to get into the playoffs with 7 wins. So not too far off for the Bears. Wouldn't be surprised if they had like 7 wins, but for now, I'm got them at 5. Still an improvement from what they did last season, nonetheless. I'm sure Bears fans probably wanted more, but hey, it is what it is. We'll move on now to the Green Bay Packers. Now, this is a very different Green Bay Packers team than we're used to seeing. Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers no longer on this team for the first time in my watching football career. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Packers react, how Matt LaFleur reacts, and how Jordan Love really performs. I think Jordan Love honestly will be pretty good. I know he wasn't great in his only start against the Kansas City Chiefs, but it was the Kansas City Chiefs nonetheless. I think he'll be, he sat under a great guy for 3 years. I feel like he's going to be better than people expect. Now, I won't go crazy over the board saying he's a top 10 quarterback. He should draft him in fantasy football. I won't say all that, but I do think he'll be able to win games. But what's up, Parker? WNBA predictions? Fuck that. I have never, my eyes have never enjoyed the WNBA. So I don't think I will. I don't know if I'm going to be paying attention to the WNBA at all, much less the NBA. I do like the NBA, but I rarely follow it. But starting off for week 1, I said this earlier. I think the Packers, they have a pretty good record against the Bears historically. Brett Hundley can win 2 games against the Chicago Bears. I think the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, can win 2 games against the Chicago Bears. Now, Falcons fans, look, I know I've been nice to you. I wasn't in the Bears predictions, but I'll be nice here. I feel like generally, hello, but I think generally, hey, thank you for subscribing. That King Markey, thank you, sir. I appreciate the love. You're a newbie. I'm a newbie to this, so I appreciate you subscribing. But yeah, I'm going to let you know exactly what's going to happen in the NFC North for the 2023 NFL season. Week 2 against the Atlanta Falcons. Green Bay Packers will lose. Honestly, I don't remember the last time the Green Bay Packers won in Atlanta. I know they won a playoff game years ago, but ever since then, I really do think the Atlanta Falcons have been pretty good against the Packers at home. So I'm going to give that game to Atlanta. Week 3, home opener for the Green Bay Packers. I feel like this is a Monday Night Football game against a talented New Orleans Saints team, but the coaching is terrible, like I said. I think on Lambeau Field, I think the Packers get the W there. 2-1 start for Jordan Love. Not a bad start. You support the Giants. Oh, I did the Giants on Sunday, actually. It is on my channel, or I made predictions for them. You probably won't like them as much as most Giants fans. I do think the Giants are a good football team, but again, I don't know. The division they're in, it's tough. Got both the Cowboys and the Eagles, but I do think the Giants will scrape out at least 7 wins next season. All right, week 4. This is this isn't the Thursday Night Football game. This is a normal game against the Lions. And look, the Lions last season beat the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau with Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers. So, if you ask me, I think the Lions are going to win. I think if they can beat Aaron Rodgers, they can beat Jordan Love. I think the Lions are the better team on paper. So despite this game being in Lambeau, never trust in the Lions, okay? Like the Lions, I said this at the beginning, but for those of you that are new here, if you believe in the Lions, they will disappoint you. This happens every year, and this is the most hype season I've seen for the Lions. It's very stressful, the high expectations. Not used to it at all. Anyways, moving on to week 5. This is an away game for the Green Bay Packers. Wouldn't be surprised if they win this game. I do have the Raiders winning this game. I just think I trust the Raiders offense with Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Josh Jacobs, and Jimmy Garoppolo. I trust that offense a lot more than I trust the Packers offense. This is a Monday Night Football game. I know this one. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way, but giving this one to the Raiders. Now the Packers head into week 6, an early bye week for them. Headed into the bye week 2-3, so not terrible, close to 500. Week 7 at the Denver Broncos, coming off the bye. Wouldn't be surprised again if the Green Bay Packers win this game. But like I said earlier, Denver Broncos are going to be a much improved football team from what we're used to seeing, at least last season and the past couple years. So I think the Denver Broncos will take this victory at home against the Green Bay Packers. So a 2-4 start for the Packers, not what Packers fans I'm sure are looking for. Week 8, however, I think the Vikings are going to be a much worse team than they were last season. I don't think they're going to be winning all of those one-score games like they did last season. Their defense was bad already. I think it got worse. Home game for the Packers. I think Jordan Love can pull off a win against Justin Jefferson, Kirk Thuggins, and the Minnesota Vikings. 3-4. So things are starting to shape up. Week 9 against the Rams. Again, this is not the same Rams team that won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Very shaky offensive line and shaky defense in general, besides the presence of Hall of Famer Aaron Donald. But I think at home in Lambeau, I think the Packers get the win against the Los Angeles Rams. So that's a W right there. Week 10 at the Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to be a better team than the Packers, especially with TJ Watt on the field. I think Kenny Pickett, too, will also start figuring some things out. So that's a loss right there. 4-5 for the Green Bay Packers. Not a terrible start. Home against the Los Angeles Chargers. I do think the Chargers are going to be better on both sides of the ball. The Packers, I think, have better coaching, however. Despite that, it's in Lambeau. But I gave the win to the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, I just don't trust Jordan Love enough to be able to handle a defense with as much talent as the Chargers. Now, look, the Chargers' defensive starters do like getting hurt. They get hurt a lot. So if they get hurt again, I wouldn't not be surprised if the Green Bay Packers pull off a victory here. But For what I know now, I will give this win to the Los Angeles Chargers. Week 12. This is Thanksgiving, a Thanksgiving game. Hopefully the Lions break the 6 years losing streak on Thanksgiving and pull off a victory there. 4-7 for the Green Bay Packers. I don't know if this is expected or not. There's very mixed predictions to see how the Green Bay Packers will fare. I think they'll be slightly better than what most people think, but when I go by and do the records like this, I don't think it differs that much from what people are thinking. They're not beating the Kansas City Chiefs. Revenge game for Jordan Love. He's not beating the Chiefs. Sorry, not happening. Week 14 at the Giants. Giants coming off of a bye week. I know for this game, Giants beat the Packers with Aaron Rodgers in London, I believe. I think that was a London game. I think they can do it coming off a bye at home in New Jersey. So give me the win for the Giants. That was Sunday's video if you haven't seen it. Week 15. This is a home game for the Green Bay Packers against, again, one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think they get the W there, 5-9. Week 16 at the Panthers. I think the Panthers are going to be a much improved football team like we're used to seeing. Thank you, Zane. Thank you. I was saying, man, I don't remember the last time the Packers beat the Falcons in Atlanta. So, and I know you'd love it for some of the people we know, for the Falcons to beat the Packers. And honestly, I would absolutely love it as well. For the Panthers as well, you might not love this as much, but I do have the Panthers beating the Packers in Carolina. I think Carolina is a much improved team. They are pretty dominant at home with Steve Wilkes. I believe that's who their interim head coach was. I feel they're pretty dominant with him at head coach. With Bryce Young, a bunch of new stars on this offense, a solid defense. I think they can get it done against Green Bay. Week 17 at the Minnesota Vikings. I'm giving that game to the Vikings. I don't think the Packers will sweep the Vikings. I'm not that confident in them. So 5-11 for the Green Bay Packers headed into Week 18. Not what we're used to seeing from the Green Bay Packers, which makes me think that this might be completely wrong. And Jordan Love will surprise everybody, but we'll see what happens. I just don't trust him enough from what I've seen from him. I think he'll be able to win football games, but I don't think he's anywhere near an elite quarterback. But Week 18, I do have the Chicago Bears taking home the Green Bay Packers taking home the victory, the season sweep of the Chicago Bears. Hello. Welcome back. But yeah, I think that's a 6-11 season for the Green Bay Packers. Again, not what we're used to seeing. I think they've had 6-win seasons in the past, but nothing like this. You can call me whatever you want, man. You can call me Ian. You can call me. I don't know. You can call me Ian. But yeah. So we'll move on to our next team, which is the Minnesota Vikings. Now, look, like I said earlier, the Vikings defense was really bad last season. They did add Brian Flores to this roster, or not to the roster, to the team. I think he's a great coach, solid overall. Hello, but they lost both of their starting cornerbacks last season. They were already bad enough, and then they replaced one of them with Byron Murphy, I think, who is not that dominant of a cornerback in the league. I don't think he's going to change too much there. So I think the Vikings are going to have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and you lose Dalvin Cook. I don't think Alexander Mattison is going to replicate nearly as much as what Dalvin Cook did. So I think the Vikings will tamper off a little bit. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but we'll see how this goes, how this plays out. Week 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I said, Buccaneers is going to be one of the worst teams in the league. 1-0 for the Minnesota Vikings. But don't let that fool you. They're not undefeated for long because they aren't beating the Eagles in Philadelphia. That is not happening. Sorry, hate to tell you, that is not happening. Week 3 against the Los Angeles Chargers. Would not be surprised to see the Minnesota Vikings win this. The coaching for the Chargers is not great at all. I do think the Chargers, however, are going to be better on both sides of the ball. So I did give this win to the Los Angeles Chargers. So this is a 1-2 start for the Minnesota Vikings. Again, an away game at the Carolina Panthers. I actually gave this one, this might be a little bit of an upset for the Minnesota Vikings, but I'm having them lose to Carolina in Charlotte. I think that's very possible, thinking about how improved the Panthers team overall really is, both offensively and defensively. Week 5, they aren't beating the fucking Chiefs. Not happening. Not happening. No. Week 6 against the Bears, I already said that that's going to be a win. So 2-4 start for the Vikings. Very different from last season. I think they already have the same amount of losses as they did in the regular season in 2022. Week 7, home game against the 49ers. I'm seeing some people give this game to the Vikings, but I'm thinking, hell no, bro. Not happening. 2-5 for the Minnesota Vikings. Week 8 at Green Bay. Again, another loss. All right, my Falcons fans, this is where it kind of goes downhill. I do have the Minnesota Vikings beating you in Atlanta. I think the Minnesota Vikings offense will be significantly better. I trust Kirk Cousins way more than I trust Desmond Ridder. And you still have Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson and a solid, okay, offensive line for the Vikings. I think they will handle the Falcons defense, who is improved, but nonetheless, I still think Justin Jefferson will get the best of them. Moving on to week 10, this is a home game against the New Orleans Saints. Again, very good roster, but yeah, I have the Vikings winning in Minnesota. Again, the coaching isn't great. I've said this again so many times already about the Denver Broncos. I think the Vikings will lose to the Broncos in Denver for a 4-7 record heading into week 12. Home game against the Chicago Bears. I think they handled the Bears easily in that game. 5-7 headed into a late bye week as well. Week 14 coming out of the bye. I think they beat the Las Vegas Raiders, easing in on 500, getting ever so close to a winning record. I think the Vikings and Raiders. So if you watch my defense videos, you know these were my 2 lowest ranked defenses, and I stand by that. I think these are both the worst defenses in the league. So whoever wins this game is going to come down to who has the better offense. And if you ask me, Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson are better than Jimmy Garoppolo and Devontae Adams. Despite it being in Las Vegas, I gave the win to the Minnesota Vikings. Week 15 at the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Bengals handle that game easily, 6-8. Now, this is when y'all are going to call me biased, okay? You're going to call me biased. But week 16, I have the Lions beating the Vikings in Minnesota. They got so close to doing it last season. I think the Vikings only really got worse and the Lions only got better. So it's only right, I think, if the Lions come away with a win there. I do have the Vikings getting a win at home against Green Bay, splitting with the Green Bay Packers. And week 18, I have them closing out with a loss against the Lions, bringing them to a 7-10 record, which is a huge step down from what they were last season. But honestly, I don't think this team will be very good. I don't think this team will be as nearly as close to how good they were last season. And honestly, their record, they had a good record last season, but this team might have been very overrated. They won so many games within one score. They did beat some good teams, such as the Buffalo Bills, the New York Giants, etc. But, you know, eventually they lost to the Giants in the divisional round of the playoffs, so they can't be. I think the Vikings, they're going to tamper off a bit. Now, moving on to grand finale. My Detroit Lions. This is... I know it's not good to overhype them. I don't know how many times I need to say this, but as an unbiased fan, which I might not be, it is very hard for me to come up with a losing record for this team. And it scares me because I know I'm setting myself up for disappointment. Because I always do. But nonetheless, let's predict the Lions record. First game of the NFL season. Thursday night, week 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. I'd be shocked if we win this game. I don't think it's totally out of the picture. I know the Lions have held Patrick Mahomes to 0 touchdowns the first time they played him. But I'm giving the loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Week 2, this is a home game against the Seattle Seahawks. We lost to the Seahawks at home last season, and I went on my Snapchat story and cried like a little bitch because I was so pissed off. Like, I was fuming. Because, again, I thought the Seattle Seahawks were a bad team. Turns out they weren't a bad team. But for me, I think the Seahawks only got better. I think they are a better team than the Lions on both sides of the ball. Maybe not defensively. It might be close defensively, but nonetheless, giving this win to the Seattle Seahawks. So an 0-2 start for the Lions. So this is the point where I know I'm predicting them to be 0-2, but I'm still going to be very upset about this start to the season, as any fan would be. 0-2, I'd be livid thinking that, oh, okay, so we're going to suck. We'll probably get blown out by one of these teams and make me think that we are terrible. All right, Falcons fans. All right, this is the game, Zane. This is the game we've been waiting for, man. I'm giving the dub to the Lions, all right? I think the Lions are a better team than the Falcons. Call me biased. I think the Lions are better than the Falcons, and they will win week 3 at home in Detroit. 0-3. Nah, we aren't losing. We're not losing to the Falcons. Sorry, Tristan. I think the Lions will beat the Falcons. And I know I'm going to get flamed for when the Falcons do end up beating the Lions, because now I'm saying that this is going to happen. But who knows? I think as of now, Lions are beating the Falcons. All right, moving on. Green Bay Packers, again, week 4. We beat Aaron Rodgers on the road. We can beat Jordan Love on the road, I think. 2-2 start for the Detroit Lions. Not too bad, coming off of an 0-2 start. Week 5, a home game against the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers screwed us over last season, man. They kicked our ass, and I was at work, so I was already miserable because it was like Christmas Eve. I was working. Didn't want to work on Christmas Eve, but the money is nice. Check the score on my phone, thinking that this would be an easy win for the Lions. We already beat tough teams. We beat the Jaguars. We almost beat the Bills. We beat the Jets, who are all right, I guess. We beat the Vikings. Of course, we're going to beat the Panthers. No, we lost. But, either way, 3-2. Come on, guys. Don't lose to the Panthers at home. Bryce Young is a rookie. He's inexperienced. Give me that win at home against the Carolina Panthers. Now, week 6, again, I think the Buccaneers are one of the worst teams in the NFL. So a 4-2 start for the Detroit Lions, winning at the Buccaneers. At the Baltimore Ravens, I think the Ravens are better than the Lions on both sides of the ball. I think the Ravens will really impress a lot of people this season. Ooh, didn't mean to do that. So give me the Lions in that game. So a 4-3 start for the Detroit Lions at home Monday night against the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the Lions are better than the Raiders on both sides of the ball. 5-3 for the Lions. Not too shabby. I'll take this start any day of the week. Now y'all are going to call me biased with this game, but I feel like the Lions always play the Chargers well, and I think the coaching on the Lions is better than coaching on the Chargers. I think the Chargers are slightly better than the Lions on both sides of the ball. Despite this, though, I have the Lions coming off of the bye and winning at the Chargers. Upset for the Lions. Woo! I'm biased, yes. 6-3. It is what it is. Week 11, home game against the Chicago Bears. Again, I think the Lions will handle that, and I also think they'll get the win week 12 against the Green Bay Packers. So an 8-3 start. This is tremendous, man. I would be so thrilled with this. Now, week 13 at the Saints. Again, kind of similar to the Chargers, except really worse. I think the Saints have an even worse a worse coaching situation than the Chargers. And this really gives me the Carolina Panthers vibes from last season, as we're on, a 4-game win streak now. hype is surrounding us, then that they choke. But here's the thing, like the Lions are coming off, that Green Bay game is a Thanksgiving game. They're coming off of a 10-day break. I'm going to give it to the Lions very hesitantly. Give this game to the Detroit Lions. Wouldn't be surprised if we get obliterated in this game because it seems like the kind of game we would. Week 14, the Bears are coming off of a bye. They're a much better team than they were last season. I do have them beating us as a little upset. So 9-4 for the Lions. I do have the Broncos beating us in Detroit. A lot of people might disagree with that. I know when I first said this, when I did my AFC West predictions. But yeah, I'm saying that the Denver Broncos beat the Lions. I think they're better than the Lions on both sides of the ball. It just seems like a type of game the Lions would lose. Now, again, week 16, I think the Lions are better than the Vikings, both sides of the ball. Winning in Minnesota, should have done it last season. It was heartbreaking to watch that game. We should have won last season. We didn't. This season, we're winning. It's crunch time, getting close to the playoffs. We're winning this game. 10 wins for the Lions. Haven't seen that in 9 years. Week 17 at the Dallas Cowboys. The Lions never beat the Cowboys. We beat them like once in the regular season by like 1 point. Probably 10 years ago. So the Lions are not going to beat the Cowboys. Cowboys will handle the Lions. I think the Cowboys are better than the Lions on both sides of the ball. Maybe not offensively, but definitely defensively. And then I think the Lions close out the season with a win at Minnesota, or home against Minnesota in Week 18, bringing their record to 11-6 and their first NFC North title since, I want to say 96 or 93 was the last time the Lions won their division. When was the last time the Lions won their division? I know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the NFC Central more recently than the Lions have won their division. 1993 was the last time. So it's 2023. So this is 30 years in the making. Right? I did that math, right? That's easy math. So 30 years. So the first time in 30 years, I think the Lions will win their division. They will win the NFC North. Jeez. The more I say it, the more it's not going to happen. So this is wrong. This is wrong, okay? This isn't happening. For my sake, this isn't happening. Who's going to be the breakout guy for the Lions this year? It might be, honestly, I think one guy that might surprise a lot of people is Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back we drafted out of Alabama that probably very nearly gave me a heart attack when we drafted him because that was such a dumb draft pick in my opinion. But, I think the Lions have a top 5 offensive line in the league, good offensive-minded head coach. I think Jahmyr Gibbs will find the ball a lot, and I think that he'll be great. Yeah, the kiss of death. I guess defensively for the Lions, too, I really like the Jack Campbell pick. I think this guy might actually be very good. So, yeah, for breakout guy, maybe Jack Campbell, Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know if Amon-Ra will count as a breakout guy because we already know he's good. But, yeah, him or Jahmyr Gibbs, honestly. I don't think Jamison Williams will do much because he does not have the Lions mentality. Sam Laporta might be good at tight end. Breakout players. Any one of the additions on the secondary, Kirby Joseph, I don't know if he counts as a breakout player, but we got some depth now, especially if I know CJ Gardner-Johnson was carted off the field in practice yesterday, but it seems like he's fine. He's going to be okay. But geez, give me a heart attack before the season even started. But yeah, Dad, I know this is the kiss of death right here. This is, I'll say this again. This isn't going to happen because the moment you expect the Lions to do good, they don't. They disappoint you. They stick a knife in your heart and twist it. This is how the Lions operate. So yeah, that concludes my NFC North predictions. Sunday morning, because I'm going to the Braves game, and then I think I'm seeing the Barbie movie on Sunday. But Sunday morning, probably around 11 o'clock maybe, I will be live again, predicting the NFC South, second to last division, before we head into the NFC West, and my playoff predictions as well. I'll include those in here. But yeah, 11-6 for the Lions. First win since first division title since 1993. I think here's the thing. I'm not the only one saying this though. So many people are saying this. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you all for. Saw a bunch of new faces in here today. So I appreciate everyone that came out and showed some support. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe. I'm working on a YouTube video currently. Don't know when it'll go up. Hopefully at some point in the next 2 weeks. But yeah, and I'll be back here on Sunday. And I hope everybody has a good rest of their day, and I'll see y'all next time. Take care.